Everyone's heard the phrase, renting is just throwing money away. And is that really true? Well, not exactly. What if I told you there are plenty of situations where renting might actually make more financial sense than buying your home, especially in today's market? In this video, we're going to bust the myth that renting is always a waste. We'll use real data, real numbers, and examples that might surprise you. Stick around because by the end, you will be able to decide for yourself whether renting is truly wasteful or sometimes the smarter move. I'm Lori Alvarez, and this is Real Estate with Soul. All facts, no fluff. Now, if you've ever felt pressure to buy your home because someone told you that renting is just throwing money away, this episode is for you. Let's break this down.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When people say renting is throwing money away, here's what they usually mean. Every month, you pay your landlord, actually called rental property owner now, and that money is gone forever. You don't get equity. You don't get an investment. You don't build long-term wealth. Compare that to owning your home. When you pay your mortgage, part of that payment goes toward building equity in your property. Over time, you might benefit from appreciation, and you could even get some tax benefits depending on where you live. And here's the challenge. Owning isn't all sunshine. It comes with property taxes, maintenance costs, repairs, homeowners insurance, transaction fees when you sell and buy, and the risk that your home just might lose value. So already we can see it's not black and white. Let's talk numbers because the data here is eye-opening. First, affordability. According to a 2025 bank rate study, which we verified, in all 50 of the largest U.S. metro areas, the average monthly cost of buying a home, including mortgage, principal, interest, property taxes, and homeowners insurance, was 38% higher than the average rent. And rent is still so high. In many cities, the gap has actually grown because home prices and mortgage rates have gone up faster than rents. Second, net worth. Homeowners do typically have a much greater net worth compared to renters. That's mostly because of equity growth and appreciation. For example, people who bought at the peak of the housing market in 2006, right before the crash, still gained significant equity over time. One analysis shows they gained about $169,000 in equity, while renters over the same period effectively lost about $229,000 by not owning. I bought my rental property, one of them, in 2020, right before the market shot up, and it's already worth $300,000 more than what I paid for it. That's a lot of money. Third, just talked about it, the wealth gap. This one's huge. In 2022, the median wealth gap between homeowners and renters was almost $390,000, and on average, over $1.37 million. That's because so much wealth in the U.S. is tied up in home equity. That is true. And here's the fourth point. Short-term renting can actually come out ahead Bankrate and Empower both show that in many metro areas, renting is currently the cheaper option month to month. For example, in places like San Jose, San Francisco, and LA, that's where we are, renting is much more affordable than buying in 2025. And that is true. The rental market has really softened, which means renting for you is more affordable. Look, here's the pros and cons. Let's lay this out side by side because it's not a simple yes or no. Here are the pros and cons of renting versus buying. Renting. Pros of renting. Lower upfront costs. You just pay a security deposit versus down payment and closing costs. Renting gives you flexibility to move. You don't have to pay for maintenance or repairs. Check your contract because that could be different. Typically, you don't have to. You avoid property taxes and most insurance headaches. And if the market tanks, you're not the one holding the bag. Unless, of course, the owner decides to sell it. Pros of buying. You build equity over time. With every mortgage payment, your home can appreciate in value. You might qualify for tax benefits. A fixed rate mortgage gives you stability compared to rising rents. And owning forces you to save because part of your monthly payment is going towards homeownership. And guess what? No one can kick you out as long as you pay the bill. Cons of renting. You don't build any equity. Rent can increase every year. You're essentially paying into someone else's investment, and you don't have any control over the property. Cons of buying. Huge upfront costs, down payment, closing fees, moving expenses. You're responsible for maintenance, repairs, taxes, insurance. And there's more pieces to your moving situation if it changes. And if the property happens to drop in value, you take the hit. So both sides have trade-offs. So when does renting actually make more sense? When mortgage rates are high, like they are. Right now, rates are still making monthly ownership costs much higher than rents in many cities. If you plan to stay somewhere short term, if you're not going to live in the house for at least 5 to 7 years, the costs of buying and selling really add up. Closing costs, realtor concession fees, that can eat up all the gains. If your job or your life situation is uncertain, renting gives you the flexibility to move without being tied down, just subject to the lease terms that you've negotiated. If your savings are low and you're carrying debt, owning a home comes with surprise costs. I just talked to an owner right now and he said he had to put a new roof on, $21,000. You got to be prepared. So being cash poor as a homeowner, super risky. And finally, if you have a better investment opportunity, I don't know that I believe this one, but I'm not really into the stock market. Sometimes renting and investing your extra money in stocks or other assets can outperform home ownership. So they say. Now, when does buying usually win out? Over the long term. Homeowners build equity. Over time, more of your mortgage payment goes to principal instead of interest. You benefit from appreciation. Historically, real estate values have increased, especially over the last few decades. That's for certain. And remember, the wealth gap we talked about, homeowners have almost 400,000 more in median wealth compared to the renters and over 1 million more on average. That's not small change. So while renting might make sense in the short run, buying tends to build wealth over the long run. So is renting always throwing money away? Absolutely not. Sometimes renting is the smarter choice, and I've told people that. Especially if you need flexibility, want lower monthly costs, or aren't ready for the financial responsibility of owning. And on the flip side, owning is a powerful tool for wealth building, and it comes with costs and requires stability and longevity. The real question isn't, is renting throwing money away? The real question is, which option actually makes sense right now for your personal situation? I know you found this helpful. So hit the like button, subscribe for more real estate podcasts, share this with someone who's debating renting versus buying. And tell me in the comments, are you renting right now or owning? And what's been your biggest challenge?